Shadow Era fans, welcome to the latest episode of Shadow Era Radio, the official podcast of Woven Studios. We had a few weeks of a break for the holidays, and we hope you all enjoyed your holidays. I know that we all enjoyed ours, but now we're back, and we're ready to keep bringing you the latest news from the world of Shadow Era. In this episode, we're going to take a look at what's been happening in the game and the community over the past year, and we're also going to talk about a lot of the great stuff we've got coming up in the pipeline for the coming year. You guys also submitted a record number of listener questions, and I want to make sure we get to as many of those as possible, so let's just go ahead and introduce the esteemed design team members that we have on with us today. Lewis, also known on the forums as Soothslayer.
Hello, everybody.
Kevin, also known on the forums as Nacho Cheese.
That's me.
Gondorian, also known on the forums as Gondorian.
They're both me.
And Nick, also known on the forums as Orange Hat Guy.
Banana click. Click? What's wrong with this thing? Boom!
I feel like I should change my handle to Not Your Average Monocle Wearer.
But that would be infringing on Kevin's trademark.
I will allow it under one circumstance. Your avatar is changed to that of you wearing a monocle.
See, I feel like I should change it to that famous picture of like the Amish farmer person with the really big hat. I just put a monocle on them. It's like, yeah.
Then I will get you on nacho infringement.
Nacho infringement. It better be Nacho
Nacho infringement. Whose is it?
Oh.
So, 2012. What's everybody's favorite thing, moment, whatever, that happened in Shadow Era over the past year? Gondorian, let's start with you.
Okay, the best thing probably seeing the cards actually come to life in front of me in physical form, buying loads of those cards, traveling across the world to get my hands on the cards, meeting people and getting lost in New York like the guy from Home Alone. It's just been an exciting year, really. I think the physical cards actually is what's made it the most exciting for me, personally.
I can see that the physical cards were a pretty big deal when they got debuted at Origins. I think that my favorite part about the year was the conventions that Shadow Era and Woven got to go to. That was pretty exciting. That was where I first met a bunch of you guys in person, and there was a lot of fun, a lot of tournaments going on, revealing the physical cards to everybody for the first time and showing the game to a lot of new people. Those were really, really sweet.
I would think that Gondorian would mention his adventure at GenCon as part of his highlights.
What happens at GenCon stays at GenCon. Or do I need to mention the dress?
You mean my adventure in New York, right? That one.
No dress necessary. Drift taken.
My adventure is chronicled on the forum anyway. Look it up.
Yes, sure it is. But as far as personal highlights for me, I would guess I have a couple of ones. Obviously, the conventions were a huge highlight. I mean, getting to meet everybody from around the world. I mean, traveling my first endeavor to Ohio both times, so that's definitely a great experience for me. Just demoing the game and just seeing people's enthusiasm and seeing all the hard work we put into the digital game in just physical form is just a really exhilarating experience. I also do want to mention that at GenCon, I believe before the convention had officially started, it might have actually been right afterwards, that we got to see the comedy show for Orange Hat Guy. And that was definitely a highlight for me.
I'm glad you thought so. That was a highlight for me as well. Of course, I enjoyed the conventions, being the physical guy. That's, some of my favorite stuff. Meeting all the guys, realizing that I, kind of clicked with the team and getting to hang out and realizing that, people that work on this game are people that I like being around, I like talking to and having friends with. But I gotta say, the real highlight in Shadow Era of 2012 for me had to have been Gondorian's 10,000 post. I mean, I still go back and read it, every night before I go to sleep, and it means a lot to me that I was around for that achievement.
Could have solved those puzzles in there, win 10,000 crystals and all that. I'm actually sorry that I missed your comedy show because I was stuck in an airport or out having a meal with Lewis's girlfriend at the time or something. So
blaming the TSA.
Or Lewis's girlfriend. He's blaming one of the two.
I plan on doing comedy for quite a long time. You will have plenty of opportunities.
I'm sure she takes that as a compliment, I guess.
Comedy or your girlfriend?
Both. I'm going to go with both. I'll be safe on that one.
Yeah, another thing that I thought was really exciting in 2012 was the World Championships that got held that iClips won. Yeah, I competed in that because I wasn't on the design team yet, so I could do that sort of thing. That was a whole lot of fun. There was a lot of really intense competition, and yeah, hats off to everyone who played in that.
The live streaming for that was just ridiculously fun. So exhausting. I think it was 6 hours straight the first day with no interruptions, and I think 4, almost 5 hours straight the second day. But definitely fun. Fun. I made sure I had some like seriously powerful tea.
And I curse the fact that you guys were watching me and Busty's game in the top 16, because that's where I forever earned the stigma of the Supernova.
Little impotent supernova.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that, because while that was the moment when it became a stigma, the reason it became a stigma was because of your feelings for Supernova for all of the time leading up to that moment.
That's true. I've been a strong Supernova supporter ever since my inception as a player.
I mean, that was really just the culmination of all your Supernova karma supernovaing at once.
There are so many innuendos in there
I
that
still
I
don't know why you didn't put it in the deck. Anyway,
I mean, really, you should have run Supernova.
I hate
when
you
I saw the
guys
deck
so
list
much.
that you sent me,
Hey,
I
I mean,
was
we can't all run supernovas here. I mean, Seth's not like the rest of us. We can't all run supernovas.
I mean,
It
as a
was
deck
like-
builder, I was reverse engineering your deck during all of that because it's more fun to do that than just read the deck lists. And I gotta say, no Supernovas. That was gutsy going into the World Championship.
I hate you guys.
One of these days, he'll be doing a pop-up tournament or something, and he'll just supernova just to win the game to prove he had it.
Well, look, it's funny when you remind yourself of World Championships and feel bad. I feel good about it now. Finally, I can feel good about it.
I still feel good about the World Championships. I still made it to the top 16 in the world. That was pretty cool. And I'm sure that Gondorian is finally over the fatigue that was induced from the
Right.
event.
Exactly. No, just different fatigue now, different things, regionals and so on. No, I'm well though now. Everybody, I'm great now.
Gondorian has psychologically recovered from running World Championships 2012.
Gondorian
I'm-
is psycho. We get it.
Moving on.
All right, moving on.
Hey, I had a 2012 year here too. I existed during
Wow,
2012.
you did?
Wait, you guys had 2012 over there?
Not sure.
Yeah,
what
it's not in
average
British
existence.
years, so
Sheesh.
All right, well, Kevin, tell us what 2012 was like out in Kevinville.
well, it was honestly 2012 was a huge year for me. I mean, earlier in the year, back in I think it was February, is when I got brought onto the design team. I got married, and I discovered that creepers can have babies. I got to create the Shadow Era story and lore with a great group of guys, and you guys are going to get to see more of that soon. And then, but I'd say my favorite moment of it, and it's silly, but Lewis, you remember when we were at Origins, and we got the boosters from Kyle, and he was like, I want you guys to make Meltdown, so here's some boosters. And we sat there playing all night, tweaking the numbers for booster drafts and Meltdown, and like just figuring out what worked and what didn't work.
Yes. Well, as speaking of that, is it wrong that I actually found it immensely hilarious that when we first started testing out drafting, and we did a draft, just I think 4 packs or 6 packs.
It was 6 packs, because I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you sat right next to me, and I wasn't trying to, but right as you opened, I saw the look on your face as you pull a foiled King's Pride, and you put that down, like, yep, that's exactly what I'm building now, because that's exactly how you have to do that. And that's not the fun part for me. The fun part is at the end of it, seeing Razcrux, a former designer, he only got like something like 7 allies, I
He
think,
had
in total.
6 allies, 4 shadow, 2 human. The reason that happened to him was because I was just pulling every single ally out of every single booster. I have no clue what I was building. Knew it was going to be ally based because I had that shiny King's Pride, and so I was pulling every ally away from everyone else.
Well, it's funny because Majumbo and we hate drafted you so hard.
You jerks.
Because I
Well,
made
think
sure.
we set up. So what people don't understand is whenever we go to conventions, the convention may open at 9. That means we're on the road at around 7. And we're not getting back home until after 11. So we got back to the hotel around 11 and we went through 6 booster boxes worth of drafting that night, just getting all the numbers tweaked and ready to play.
Oh yeah.
And so I've got to say, in terms of Shadow Era, just sitting there with 4 guys, booster drafting 6 boxes of cards until we were literally falling asleep, except for me because of the copious amounts of Mountain Dew, that's a memory I will always carry.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, especially when we were drafting with Gundorian, and somehow he passed me 2 portals and 2 tidal waves back to back. How that happened, I'll never know.
That was a different place.
That was at GenCon, but
I was not
still.
at Origins.
I'll tell you what, GenCon had the greatest. I remember I went back to your hotel with you guys and we did some booster drafting and stuff. Yeah, that's right.
And other stuff. Yeah.
But do you guys remember the God Pack that we had where we opened it up and it was like the entire booster was things that you can't pass, and it was just like, what do you do with this? I think I ended up passing a mind control and a portal and a fireball and
the
tidal wave
Supernova. You don't run the Supernova.
I think I took the Supernova out of that pack actually. But
you're never letting that go ever again now.
I don't. Oh yeah, no, it's
an Anorak 3 times at that convention pulling the Amber What Big Teeth combo.
Yeah.
3 times he pulled that combo.
It's pretty much just his patented combo. Every time you use Amber Teeth in a limited format, you have to pay him a quarter.
Yeah, tip your hat to Anorak for that, because I believe he actually beat Gundorian in the tournament we ran with that. Yeah, it was a very odd match. It was definitely very fun enjoying that with Meltdown. I mean, I know I had opened the God Pack myself where I looked at it and was like, I really just want everything, where it had Bad Santa, Shadow Knight, Plasma Behemoth, Bad Wolf. I mean, it had so much good stuff that you just really don't want to pass to anybody.
Except for that one pack, because there was so much good stuff. Like, I wish I had taken a picture of that freaking pack, because I remember when Gondorian opened it, and it was that epic. I remember he opened it and he spent forever looking at it, and then he passed it to me and said, "I can't believe this pack." And then I looked at it, and I just stared at it, and I looked at him, and I was just like, "What did you take?" Because what could possibly have been better than all of these things? I couldn't even think of a card off the top of my head that was better than what I was looking.
Yeah, I think I had the same thing happened with the God Pack that I had opened that I passed to Majumbo, where he looked at me and he's like, "Why are all these things still here? What the hell did you take out of these?" I think I ended up taking the Bad Santa, I think, because it was a foil Bad Santa, no less, which made it even worse.
Oh, you can't lose with a foil Bad Santa in your deck, not unlimited.
But definitely, some highlights from 2012, definitely.
I clocked up a few posts. I can't remember what I started the year with.
That's true. Do you know what your post count was at the start of 2012?
It's probably like 2,000, and he just went post happy.
Probably 4,000 or something, maybe.
So you've probably posted a good 9,000 posts.
Something like that.
Some of them good, yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and look forward to 2013. There is a lot of awesome stuff that we have planned out to bring you guys in the coming year, and we want to talk a little bit about some of that stuff because we're really excited about it, and we want you guys to be excited about it too. First up, we have the expansion that everyone's been waiting for. It is coming soon. TM. I know we've been saying that for a long time, but we actually have. The wheels are turning full force, and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I'd say now we are happy with the balance, with the amount of coverage we've got internally. So that's one thing, and we're happy with the artwork. So we're very close now to putting it on the test server.
So we can't give you guys an exact release date because that's never worked out for us very well in the past anyway, but it is getting very close. It is tangibly close, and we hope to be bringing you guys some new updates on that really soon. Another thing we've got coming with the expansion, we're getting ready to release the card market. It's been something that everyone's been waiting for a long time, an auction house to sell and get rid of cards and acquire new ones. You'll be able to buy and sell foils from other players on the auction house, so you won't necessarily need to buy packs to get the foils that you're looking for to complete your collection. Or if you did buy a bunch of packs and you have extra foils hanging out, you can try to go sell those to other players and get something out of those as well. So that's a really exciting thing that we've got coming. Also, big official tournaments. I don't know how many of you guys have been keeping up with the World Championships regionals and all those events, but that's been a whole lot of fun in the past couple of months, and we've got more of those coming on the way. Gondorian, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, just to recap then. So there's only 16 players that will take part in World Championships 2013. We now know 4 of them. Eclipse, reigning champion. 3 winners of the recent regionals, which was Monomax, well done. Jackie, also well done. And K.A. Henson, very well done. So we've got 4 there. And we'll have more big official tournaments leading up to the World Championships 2013. The current one is the Sealed Deck event being run by Nahar. After that, there'll be more great stuff, but we tend to announce it close to the date because people might otherwise kind of go away, forget about it, forget to come back. So we announce stuff close to when it's ready so people can sign up and not forget. So yeah,
Good point.
Great stuff on the way.
Also coming up in 2013, we have a bunch of plans for the physical game with regards to conventions and showing up to meet you guys. Nick, our physical card person, would you like to say anything about that?
Yeah, I think I need a better title. But what I will say is, you'll remember when we were looking back to 2012, every single person on the design team had something good to say about their conventions. That's because conventions are absolutely awesome. They are one of the most fun things you can do with the card game. But, we only did 2 conventions last year. If you couldn't make it to Ohio or Indianapolis, that wasn't a very, very wide range of stuff. We have Shadow Era players all over the country, all over the world. And so I'm going to try to be, getting to as many different conventions in as many different places just to expand our reach so more people can come out and play tournaments and meet the design team and have some fun. Obviously, not all the design team members are going to be at every convention, but just to meet other players, even in your area or in nearby areas, is absolutely worth your time and money to get to a convention. I highly recommend it, and I'm going to make it as possible as I can.
All right, so that was a little bit of a quick look at what we've got coming for the year, and I realize it was a little bit fast, but we really need to get on to these listener questions because you guys are awesome and have submitted a back-breaking number of them. So we are going to try to answer them all because these are obviously the things that you guys really want to hear us talking about anyway. So let's jump right into it. We have, first up, Mewtwo wanted to know, what exactly will the next expansion entail? Is it new cards, or will there be a new rating system, a new AI, or any other features that need to be implemented first? Just general talk about the expansion would be awesome.
Personally, I'm overseeing the implementation of the Master Balls, so Mewtwo, I'm coming for you.
Right.
Like a Pokemon joke.
I don't get that reference.
Is that part of the expansion, or does Mewtwo have to start hiding now?
He needs to go ahead and start hiding now as I'm after him. I need my legendary.
Each booster pack comes complete with a rare candy.
Oh god. Okay, someone save us from these references now.
Sensible answer coming now. The expansion does literally just mean new cards. It's an expansion of the card pool, so there will just be these 150 new cards. I say just, that's quite an understatement. So, expansion is just new cards, but there is other stuff on the way. Other new features that are separate, but they will be included in the update, which brings you the expansion. So it won't just be the new cards on their own, there'll be other stuff as well.
I wouldn't say just 150 new cards, because the 150 new cards are tailor-made to expand upon the core set, and part of expanding upon that is opening new avenues for the heroes and really kind of let you know who they are. So it is expanding in many different ways, and it's a completely different game now. Most definitely is.
It's kept all the things you love, and then added more stuff. It's not completely different.
I'm pretty sure they got their peanut butter in your chocolate. Just saying.
What?
What does that even mean?
It means now I want a Reese's cup. Thanks.
Oh, and there's no wrong way to eat those either. Anyway, let's move on now.
There's no right way to comment on that.
We did have one particularly zealous question asker. Glognar asked quite a lot of questions, but he actually has been basing his questions off of a couple of other threads that have been going on in the forums, where a lot of you guys have expressed the concerns that he brings up there, and it's sort of a representative sample of a lot of things a lot of people have been asking us and that we've been answering intermittently on the forums. So we just kind of want to take his questions and use them to aggregate all of those sentiments and questions and concerns in one place, and we're going to answer them all for you as straightforwardly as we can right now on this podcast. So here we go. First up, do you agree releasing physical cards was done too early, and would it have been better to establish the player base and perhaps the expansion more before going straight to a physical release?
Yeah, physical cards have been planned for a while, but mostly due to popular demand. The players wanted physical cards because they look so great. They wanted them in their hands. So Carl had been working on it for quite a long time in the background, trying to find somebody to manufacture them. He did a trial print run, and he wasn't happy with the quality of them. And the more he looked into it, the more he got interested in creating some really high quality cards for people. It was going to cost a lot of money, so he launched a Kickstarter. He never expected it to be as popular as it was, and it just went from there, really. I mean, it became a game in its own right, a game in physical form in its own right because of the popularity. There's no regrets about doing it that way. The regrets would more be that there was only one distributor that was meant to send across the entire world, and physical bonuses are quite hard to produce, bespoke ones. So in terms of that did not impact on developing the expansion at all. And the player base has grown steadily. We can build on that now with the expansion. So no regrets there.
Yeah, and I can honestly say, I mean, if you look at the Kickstarter that we launched to raise money for the physical cards, because it was going to be so expensive to produce a high quality game, the original goal was $20,000 and the result was $200,000. So that was quite a lot more popular than was anticipated, and that ended up being difficult to deal with. But there are a lot of lessons were learned from that too, and we've been sort of trying to comment on that in the forums with you guys as well. We've learned a lot about what it takes to release a physical game and how things work in the physical world, and we brought Nick on to help with the process and all that kind of stuff. So
I mean, we didn't really go straight to physical anyways. I mean, there was a lot of time spent getting the expansion balanced and in order and finalized before they ever went to the physical card. So I don't think you could make an argument that it happened too early in terms of balance anyways.
I agree. So that hopefully, kind of addresses that concern, because I know a lot of people have asked us about that. That's the deal with that. Is it right that we have to use third-party programs such as IRC and these forums to get more out of the game? A chat room can't be that difficult to implement.
Honestly, as a longtime gamer, it's really, really normal for games to use some form of third-party software or program for their communications. I mean, I'm an avid gamer, and Vent, Mumbled, TeamSpeak, those are all programs I have installed because of those games. Forums, IRC, the reason that these things exist are because it's not always natively speaking in games. We do want to add a chat room to the game. It is on the roadmap and on our planned features list, but it's kind of a quality of life upgrade, and there are other things we want to get out as well. So it's not necessarily our top priority when we do have the IRC already in existence.
Right. And the thing is that you have to prioritize when we have the resources that we have, and at the end of the day, I think people would much rather see us trying to get the expansion out and automated tournament queues out and more limited formats out rather than chat rooms. So, and some people are going to disagree with that priority, but I think most people agree with those priorities. So that's kind of where we're at on that. Why has it taken 18 months plus since an announcement about a new rating system and auction house, and still nobody is none the wiser if they will ever happen?
Because Venusia's a huge planet. The days are longer.
And that's it.
Yeah,
But-
pretty much. Honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys right now. We know that is really not very cool. I was someone who was hired to the design team just a few months ago, and I can say that I shared that same concern before I was hired. Now that I've been hired and seeing what's going on behind the scenes, I kind of understand a bit, what's going on back here and why things are being held up, some of which I can't really talk about. But we are aware that this is bad, and it is coming. We have it all in the pipeline, and it's moving as fast as we can make it move, and we're sorry.
At least no one's going to be surprised. We've given them an 18 months heads up on some of these things, so
That's
they
true.
should be
That's true.
thankful about it. Giving them something to look forward to. Sometimes
Also-
you look forward to Christmas, while these people have had 18 months to look forward to these things. So,
All right, next up. Once you have eventually released this expansion, are players expected to wait a similar amount of time before the next one, or do you now have processes in place to make it quicker? Have you learned from this?
No, yes, no, respectively.
Absolutely.
I would say yes to the last one, but no to the rest.
But to answer the question, though, we have learned a lot from what's been going on. We don't expect you to wait this amount of time for the next release. We understand that this is terrible, and you got to remember that we are on the design team. We are former players, so we get it.
Current player, I still enjoy playing the game, and those features do matter to me in that way.
That's true. We do all still play. I shouldn't say former players, should I? We are still playing the game, and we still love it. I don't really know what the correct segue is for this, so let's just go to the next question. Will we ever get Woven Run tournaments beyond World Championships that require Shadow Crystal entry fees to help improve gameplay beyond player-run things and quick matches?
absolutely. The forthcoming in-game tournaments will cost Shadow Crystals to take part, and you can win Shadow Crystals by doing well in them. And then there will be more tournaments outside the game that are run via the forum. Probably not charging an entry fee. That is quite difficult to achieve. I had quite a lot of trouble getting that all to work for the World Championships. So we'll probably just make them free, the ones that run outside the game still. But within the game, the automated ones, I can see people playing a tournament, one or more tournaments a day with Shadow Crystal entry fee and winning Shadow Crystals, and some people will, make a Shadow Crystal profit. Others won't. Wolverine will be taking their cut, and we should all get pay rises. That was the story that was sold to me. I'm still waiting.
You get paid for this?
Not for the podcast. I have to pay to be on the podcast.
Ah, okay. That's what I thought.
I get a special discount, but
I still need your check.
I don't pay you.
Oh, damn it.
If anyone's getting paid, it's going to be me. By the way, Nick, I don't think you've paid me for the privilege of being here yet.
I pay you with the sound of a child's laughter.
And that's that question answered.
And so, yeah. Next up, are we ever likely to be able to save multiple deck lists per hero? This is something that is warm to my heart to hear this still being asked after I originally asked this question probably a year ago. But the answer is yes.
Cool.
You are likely to ever be able to save multiple deck lists per hero. And then one more question that we hear all the time was posed by Sisyphos and by about 1,000 million of you guys throughout the past couple of months. What is delaying the expansion so much? John Dorian, you want to take a crack at this?
Thankfully, most of the delay is behind us. It took longer than we expected originally because lots of things came up that we weren't expecting. We've dealt with them. We've got back on track. We've learned stuff, a lot of stuff. And in future, we will be able to plan a lot better and deliver things a lot faster at the kind of pace I think everybody wants things to be delivered at. I mean, as players ourselves, we want these things out as well. So we're really committed to delivering. And we've been through so many different events that not just conventions, I mean, different events, life events, and so on. We've learned so much, and yeah, watch this space. 2013 will be the best year for Shadow Era ever. And if not, it's because 2014 will be even better, and so on.
Every year will be the best year of our game.
Yeah, man. One day I'll be able to be on the podcast for free, and then I'll be so happy.
I'll tell you what. I will let you be on the podcast for free, starting on the episode that we get to do it from Kyle's yacht.
Okay.
That is a cross-podcast reference. Back to a State of the Era episode. So for those of you who have listened to the State of the Era podcast before, you just had a chuckle at that, and everyone else is scratching their heads, and I guess we can move on now.
Well, I have to pay my travel expenses to get to the yacht. Otherwise, that's kind of like a false economy to me, so I prefer to do
Well,
it.
considering how much you pay to be on the podcast, I think the plane ticket to the U.S. is really not that. Or I guess it's Vietnam, wouldn't it be? Because, yeah, I don't know. In any case, next question. Hats wanted to know, what has it been like designing for both a physical and digital game at the same time? Have there been any cards or ideas that have been discarded because they won't work well in one format or the other?
As far as difference between designing for physical and digital at the same time and how that impacts things, it definitely does cause other wrinkles that you have to think about. An example of something that didn't quite make the cut or is on the back end of stuff we're trying to do is a lot of like cards with random effects. Something that kills a random ally or returns a random card from your graveyard to your hand. So effects like that.
Rabbit Bite, for example.
Rabbit Bite is a prime example. Cards like that, cards we're shying away from, because digitally they work amazingly well. It's not a thought; it just does a random effect, but they don't translate quite as well to physical games. It's because it tends to lead to a lot of confusion and a lot of dice rolling to decide what is moving where, and it adds an extra step that can cause a little bit of issues. That's one. Another example is keeping an eye on how many negative effects we have in the game. Because in digital it doesn't really mean anything, because you can just have 13 random effects and just weird colors for them, whereas in the physical game you have to keep track of markers and each one's individual effect, and everything has to be done manually, so that's a bit more of a chore. It makes it a bit more difficult to keep track of. So that's definitely the kind of things you have to we're shying away from a little bit, or at least keeping in the back of our minds while we're looking at design stuff for the future. But no, it's definitely great design for both. Design with limited in mind, design cards knowing that these are cards that are intended to be used more so in limited. These cards are designed to be used more so in constructed. It's definitely a fun experience designing with both in mind.
One great thing about the physical game was it forced us to write the rule book, because before physical game, the digital game defined its own rules. And in the physical game, people start asking questions about how do these two cards interact and so on. We had to actually write that rule book and explain all these situations, and it caused us to understand the game better, because we joined the team when a lot of the game already existed. So we started understanding about cards that we never got involved in designing, and that has helped us going forwards with the expansion as well, having everything written down, a clear rule book, which people can now read as well. So we've got the card rulings form as well. So that feeds into the digital game. So I think they're kind of helping each other, actually, the two formats.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with that. The other thing Hats wanted to know was related to the physical game. What should I tell my local game store to get them to carry the physical version of Shadow Era? What is unique about it compared to its established competitors that are already on the shelf?
Well, I've been playing physical card games for more than a decade, and especially since I've been working here, I've been talking to a lot of people who own stores, a lot of people who run stores, and that's been one of the most important questions on my mind. And the important thing to realize that most of the people who own a game store or a hobby shop, that is how they feed their family. That is how they make their money. And it is very important to them is whether or not they're going to sell that product that gets on the shelf. So if you want them to carry Shadow Era, the most important thing, the only thing you really have to do is convince them that you're going to buy it. And if you want them to have more, get some other people. Bring some friends in, play the game in the store, buy the cards that they have. They're not going to hold it on the shelf for nobody. They're gonna have it on the shelf when they know that they have buyers. So go in, tell them you want it because you want it. Convince your friends to play. Have them, come with you. Go draft in the store. It doesn't cost all that much, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you're going to get Shadowware out there. You're going to get other people in your area who are interested to play. And that's how it's going to compete with the competitors. That's how it's going to be on the shelves, and it's going to be available anywhere that you want it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is going, if you can get a group of people to go to a store and say, we all want to buy this stuff, and then you buy it from a store, and then you show up and you keep playing it in the store so other people can see it and other people may become interested in buying it, that is what needs to happen.
Exactly.
Once you get that network effect going, people are starting to buy it regularly, that's when the stores will all start carrying them.
The TCGs are a very demand-driven economy. I can't, no matter what I do, I can't push them into every store around you until they know that they're going to sell them. So, yeah, I do need your help with that. I absolutely do, and I'd appreciate it.
All right, next question on the docket. Adam Zed wanted to know, has Wolven been tracking stats for the player base? What is the current trend like? How many accounts have been created in the last 12 months, etc., etc.? Gondorian, do you have any idea about game stats like that?
Nope. But Kyle would know, and he's not here. I will get some stats for our next podcast. I will endeavour to get some. And then we can talk about that. I have a feeling that the player base continues to grow steadily as more people get the smartphones and so on, find the game, it's free and hear about it. So, but let's get the stats and find out next time. So, yeah. Sorry, we'll have to wait till next podcast to find out that answer.
Also on Adam Zed's question list, has Wolven and the design team reconsidered their approach for the expansion? This is asked in the context of the delayed expansion and the current principles of not changing the cards post-release. So are we going to hold fast to making every card ironclad as soon as we release it? The answer to that is no. Our policy is that we will not change cards after they have been printed.
Or been sent to the printers.
Right. Once we have the version of the cards that has been sent out and we can't change them in the physical form anymore, from then the cards are locked in. But there could be balance tweaks or other such changes made before that happens, after the expansion hits the test server or after it hits the live server, but before we've sent the cards to the printers to be finalized. If issues are discovered, we could make tweaks and stuff like that.
A lot of people do have questions about why that is, and why do we look at it like that. One of the things is it's a differentiator. It's something that we try to do that very few other card games actually try. Many of our competitors, especially our physical competitors, they change cards after they're out, and then those changed cards, it's on you. It's on the players to find those edited versions and use them correctly. If you're not willing to do that, if you don't take the time, you're just out. I remember I used to play another card game, Let It Go Unnamed, competitively, and whenever I went to tournaments, I had this giant 3-ring binder with almost 200 pages of individual card wordings in case someone missed an errata.
Yeah, and it can be very annoying like that. That's actually one thing that is kind of cool about what we're doing with our approach. Instead of sending out a physical version of the game and then updating the digital servers, which usually involves a lag time. Most of our competitors that run both physical and digital versions of their game, it may be a month or two before you get the updated version online. We're doing it in the opposite order so that we can make those sorts of tweaks if necessary.
I'd like to emphasize though that it's not our intention to make tweaks. We're not thinking, we'll just balance as best we can and chuck it on the live server and then react to that. The assumption is we won't need to make any changes, but the option is there to change stuff if necessary before it's printed. Just in case.
Because you just never know.
We're aiming for balance,
what kind of things.
Yeah, we might get surprised.
Right, when you suddenly have thousands of people playing all kinds of games, you just never know what you're going to find.
Doesn't it? Well, what benefit do you have by locking it down as soon as it's been released digitally? You don't get that much of a benefit, especially if loads of your players are going, this is horrible deck, this is ruining everything. I've just deleted it from my phone.
That's never happened before, right? I've never heard any players become very upset about a particular deck.
And we wouldn't want to delay the printing of the expansion too long either. So I think there'll be a short period where on live we'll be monitoring the feedback, and if we are surprised by something, we can respond to it and fix it. Last time we had something like that, it was on the test server, so it got fixed before it went live. That's more likely to happen this time, catching something on test server rather than catching something on the live server. But you never know, really.
All right, so we are starting to run a little bit short on time, so we're just going to keep things moving right along here. And if we didn't get to your question, I'm sorry. Ask it again the next time you see a question thread appear at the shadowera.com forums where we all hang out and stuff. So, yes, moving right along. Flying Ferrari asked us to tell him some spoilers, and so we are definitely going to give some spoilers because we love spoilers around here. Gondorian, what have we got for spoilers?
We can exclusively reveal something on this podcast, and it is the names of 7 class allies who are going to be spoiled on the forum in something that we like to call Class Ally Week. We recently had Class Week where we had 1 card from each class. In this forthcoming week, there will be 1 ally from each class revealed, and there's 7 of them, and here are the names in no particular order. See if you can match them to their classes. We have Knight of the Golden Dawn, Crystal Titan, Frosted Uragon, Lyra Black Rose, Howlfang Terror of the Veil, Marcus the Marvel, Wild Berserker.
And anyone who can't guess which class Howlfang Terror of the Veil belongs to is fired.
Which class is that again?
I think it's my 4th grade class.
Nick, I'm sorry, but
You are not
you
smarter
are
than a
the
5th
biggest
grader.
Wow, both of those were really good references. All right, our last question. We have the bonus listener question from Nerd for Christ. When is Fire Snake getting his much-needed nerf? Well, we have a special solution for that. Gondorian, why don't you tell us what it is, since you worked so hard on it?
Yeah, this is an exclusive spoiler for you. There is a neutral ally in the expansion called Snake Charmer, and it reads, Fire Snake cannot attack while Snake Charmer is in play. And the stats of this card is 1 attack, 2 health, and it costs 1 CC. We're hoping this won't cause balance issues.
It should, in theory, it should be able to balance out the Fire Snake meta quite nicely, I think.
Yeah, Fire Snake will be solved. I just hope this card is, safe. We'll see.
We will see. All right, guys, we are out of time for today, but thanks for tuning in to Shadow Era Radio, where the drinks are cold, the snakes are hot, and the OP-ness is never censored.